The unhealed healer. Keep forgetting to turn that on. The ego's plan for forgiveness is far more widely used than God's. This is because it is undertaken by unhealed healers and is therefore of the ego. Let us consider the unhealed healer more carefully now by definition. He is trying to give what he has not received. If an unhealed healer is a theologian, for example, he may begin the premise, I am a miserable sinner, and so are you. And if he is a psychotherapist, he is more likely to start with an equally incredible belief that attack is real for both himself, and the patient, but that it does not matter for either of them. I have repeatedly said that beliefs of the ego cannot be shared, and this is why they are unreal. How, now, can uncovering them make them real? Every healer who searches fantasies for truth must be unhealed, because he does not know where to look for truth, and therefore does not have the answer to the problem of healing. There is an advantage to bringing nightmares into awareness, but only to teach that they are not real, and that anything they contain is meaningless. The unhealed healer cannot do this because he does not believe it. All unhealed healers follow the ego's plan for forgiveness in one form or another. If they are theologians, they are likely to condemn themselves, teach condemnation, and advocate a fearful solution. Themselves teach condemnation and projecting condemnation onto God. They make him appear retaliative and fear his retribution. What they have done is merely to identify with the ego, and by perceiving what it does, condemn themselves because of this confusion. It is understandable that there have been revolts against this concept, but the revolt against it is still to believe in it. So, like, when you know something, you know it. But, yeah, I guess, right? Fucking just lie. Say no. But it's not like, these are like fantasies, daydreaming, right? And just about what to do, right? Some newer forms of the ego's plan are as unhelpful as the older ones, because form does not matter and the content has not changed. In one of the newer forms, for example, the psychotherapist may interpret the ego symbols in a nightmare and then use them to prove that the nightmare is real. Having made it real, he then attempts to dispel its effects by depreciating the importance of the dreamer. This would be healing approach if the dreamer were also identified as unreal. Yet if the dreamer is equated with the mind's corrective power through the Holy Spirit is denied. This is a contradiction even in the ego's terms, and one which is usually it usually notes, even in its confusion. So even when it's confused, it still says it. If the way to counteract fear is to reduce the importance of the mind, how can this build the ego's strength? Such evident inconsistencies account for why no one has really explained what happened in psychotherapy. Nothing really does. Nothing really happened to the unhealed healer. He must learn from his own teachings that he's wrong. His ego will always seek to get something from the situation. The unhealed healer therefore does not know how to give and consequently cannot share. He cannot correct because he is not working correctively. He believes that it is up to him to teach the patient what is real, although he does not know it himself. So I guess I'll just put some of this in here now, right? Because I know about some of it. That statement, right? So if you do a little bit, and I'll go into this eventually and make a video, but figure out, I was watching a video, and it said that Helen Schumann, was it Ted Thetford, was the guy she wrote the book with, or he was there to help her along with it, and they had both learned, was it from the Church of Christian Scientists, which was founded by Mary Baker Eddy, and Mary Baker Eddy took a lot of inspiration from God, obviously, because she thought, I mean, she could heal people and she could heal herself, and she sought to bring, like, use science as a way of explaining the edges of religion, if that makes sense. Like, what is religion and what is reality? So Mary Baker Eddy, and then she got a lot of stuff from, I have his name written down, old guy, 1850s to like early 1900s. Phineas Parkhurst Quimbley. A truly interesting man. I'm reading some of his manuscripts right now. He wrote himself notes, and I think, as a lot of people do, is right to themselves. But that man, I think that's where a lot of these beliefs consequently come from. Also from God, I think, but yeah. What then should happen? When God said, "Let there be light," there was light. Can you find light by analyzing darkness as the psychotherapist does? Or like the theologian, by acknowledging darkness in yourself and looking for a distant light to remove it? Healing is not mysterious. Nothing will change unless it is understood. Since light is understanding, a miserable sinner cannot be healed without magic, nor can an unimportant mind esteem itself without magic. Both forms of the ego's approach then must arrive at an impasse, the characteristic impossible situation to which the ego always leads. It may help someone to point out where he is heading, but the point is lost unless he is also helped to change his direction. The unhealed healer cannot do this for him, since he cannot do it for himself. The only meaningful contribution the healer can make is to present an example of one whose direction has been changed for him, and who no longer believes in nightmares of any kind. The light in his mind will therefore answer the questioner, who must decide with God that there is light because he sees it, and by his acknowledgement the healer knows it is there. That is how perception ultimately is translated into knowledge. The miracle worker begins by perceiving light, and transplants his perception into sureness by continually extending it and accepting its acknowledgement. Its effects assure him it is there. A therapist does not heal, he lets healing be. He can point into darkness, but he cannot bring light in of himself, for light is not of him. Yet being for him, it must also be for his patient. The Holy Spirit is the only therapist. He makes healing clear in any situation in which he is the guide. You can only let him fulfill his function. He needs no help for this, and he will tell you exactly what to do to help anyone. He sends to you for help and will speak to him through you if you do not interfere. Remember that you chose the guide for helping, and the wrong choice will not help. But remember also that the right one will. Trust him, for help is his function, and he is of God. As you awaken other minds to the Holy Spirit through him and not yourself, you will understand that you are not obeying the laws of this world. By the laws you are obeying work. The good is what works, is a sound through inefficient statement. Only the good can work. Nothing else works at all. This course offers a very direct and very simple learning situation that provides the guide who tells you what to do. If you do it, you will see that it works. Its results are more convincing than its words. They will convince you that the words are true. By following the right guide, you will learn the simplest of all lessons. By their fruits you shall know them, and they shall know themselves. So if you know yourself and you know of God, nothing should offend you. You should be able to walk through your life. Say perfect, right? Damn near close. But it's possible. And no amount of thinking is going to get you there. So you just got to let go.